68 DS19. He's owned this car for 20 years. He also owns a 73 SM. Robert's got a really unique job, one that maybe some of us would actually enjoy. He's a New York City rooftop garden designer. Now, not everybody can say that they design gardens for the top of a building in New York City. That's pretty cool. How long have you been doing that?
21 years.
Wow, great job. He's owned Citroën since driving in high school. His first car was a 64 DS19. He came to one of the early Red Dellinger rendezvous, which back in those days, the first year or two were held at the dealership, and then it sort of continued on and was the first year or two here in Carlisle. And he says Brian Brandt was a friend who introduced him to DS in 1978, and he's never looked back. This DS was built in July of '67, was the 29th car off the line with the new style front end. That's pretty interesting. With the turning lights, and it's a French spec car. He purchased the car 20 years ago this month from an American woman who purchased the car abroad and shipped it back to New York City, and then met and married a Parisian in New York City. Beautiful car. Does anybody have any questions for him? Now, he didn't put down on his form, but I'll let you know he's one of the other ones who are very instrumental in putting together the Citroën Rendezvous, which again is Father's Day weekend, Saratoga Springs, New York. I'm sure you're going to talk about that a little bit at dinner tonight.
Sure.
That is probably absolutely the best Citroën meet in North America at this point, and I think you can be very proud of that too.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Robert? If not, we'll move on.
Thanks again.
Ron Straub. Ron's here from Lodi, New Jersey, and his 73 GS 1220. He's owned it for 3 years. He also owns a 71 ID20 wagon. He's owned Citroëns for about 5 years, and he's interested in Citroën because of their innovative engineering designs. The car has only 34,000 kilometers on it. It's mostly original car. It's a 4-cylinder air-cooled 1.2 liter with a 4-speed manual, and of course it's hydraulic suspension and 4-wheel disc brakes. Very, very unusual car for here because it was never imported into the United States. Does anybody have any questions? What kind of mileage?
30 miles.
30 miles to the gallon. And what's comfortable driving speed? 70 miles an hour. Very, very unusual car for here in the States. Very nice car. Thanks a lot, Ron. Richard, is Richard here? Come on down, Richard. I'd like to introduce you to Richard Murphy. He's the owner of this 1972 DS, and he's been coming to Carlisle and to the Rendezvous for had been coming for quite a few years. We hadn't seen him for a few years, and now he's back to join us again. Tell us a little bit about how long you've had your car and where you got it.
77.
Philadelphia. And I'm trying to remember where your hometown is.
Egg Harbor Township.
Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey. Does anybody have any questions for Richard? Glad to see you here.
How many miles you got?
Yeah.
How many miles?
200 and something.
A lot, right? A lot. He enjoys the cars very much. We're glad to see you back. Hopefully you can keep joining us. All right, take care. 77. Okay, you don't have one for this guy, or do you? Oh, no, I don't. Here's another one of these Michigan guys. This is Dale Martin. He's here from Midland, Michigan. Midland is in the main part of Michigan, but Dale grew up in the IP, right? UP, the Upper Peninsula.
Where the snow is still.
And believe it or not, Dale's father owned a Chevrolet dealership. And what I'd like to know is, what did your dad say when you started driving Citroën?
He didn't say anything.
That was big.
That's even worse.
Dale is the owner of Raleigh Import in Midland, Michigan. He does repairs and restorations on all kinds of imported cars and sells cars. He's also got quite a stable of Citroëns. He's got a 52 Late 15, which is a right-hand drive British car. He's got a 1955 15.6H, which is actually another very rare car because it's a predecessor to the DS with the hydraulic suspension. 59 ID, a 72 GS, a 72 SM, another 72 SM. Running out of here. DS21, a 2CV, and a GTI Turbo CX. And he says he's owned Citroëns too long because he's insane. I think most of us would disagree with that. Dale not only comes to Carlisle, Dale goes to the Rendezvous. Dale also is a regular to the Hershey AACA show in the fall, and we always enjoy having him here. Congratulations on a beautiful car. Do you have any comments, any questions for Dale?
This one is for sale.
This one is for sale. Yeah. The collection's got a little bit too large, so this one could go to the right person.
Dale, could you list all the cars you've owned?
Yeah.
That's going to be the book you're going to write when you retire, right? I think that maybe the most unusual one I've ever seen is when you bought the Messerschmitt.
Oh, yes.
That's a few years ago.
Brad helped me get it back. We put it on a utility trailer.
I was going to say, you didn't drive it here, did you?
No.
I stored it at my business for a little while. It didn't take up much room.
It only go about 35 or 40 on it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So we're glad to have you here, and congratulations.
Keep on coming.
All right, I think we've... Now, let me see these sheets. I'm not done yet.
Dave's over there, and I don't see Les, so you have a sheet on Les.
All right.
Nick is here.
Not me.
All right.
He's got a sheet on
Nick Vilku. I have to tell you a story about Nick. Nick is the gentleman with the video camera. And I'm going to tell you what a friend he is. 3.5 years ago, when I was laid up with a broken leg, and I didn't even think anybody knew that it had happened, I got a edible arrangement, came to the door, and my wife had no idea who was nice enough to send that to me, and it came from Nick. And that's what this Citroën group is all about. It's all about great people.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hope you feel
Vic's
better.
been involved in Citroën for quite a while. How long?
I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years.
But Nick's always at the shows, and Nick loves to take photos. And I think you've got a website that they can look at them.
Yeah. I can send something to you also.
Okay. Is it under your name?
It's under citroenmeet.com.
Citroenmeet.com. And the pictures of today will probably be on there in a week or two, right?
Well, editing kills me with this, but anyway.
All right, Nick, we're glad you came. And we have right beside me is Mr. Carl Erb.
I don't have a Citroën.
Yes, he does. Now, did you fill a card out?
Yeah, there's one there.
All right, how come I can't?
There's my car.
I gotta find your card. Carl is from Monroeville, Pennsylvania. His better half was manning the tent all day long. I'm not sure where she's at. He owns a 1952 Citroën 15 CV, and he's owned it for 4 years. He's got a great story. He was a GI stationed in France from 1960 to 63, and while he was there, he bought and owned a Citroën 1952 15.6. same model that he owns now. And he drove it all over Europe for 2.5 years while he was in the military. 4 years ago, he found a car very similar to that one and bought it from a dealer in Chicago who listed it on eBay. And it had supposedly had been nearly 100% restored, he pretty much has 100% restored it and had it at the rendezvous last year. But it's sad to say that he's had some mechanical problems. It's at Dave Burnham's now, and hopefully we'll be back on the road very shortly. I think it's pretty great that how many years later, 40 years, 50 years later, he's got the same car he owned back then. Dave Burnham. Where's Dave? I know he's here somewhere.
Right up front.
Dave's been hiding all day. I know the feeling. Dave owns Dave Burnham Citroën Repair in New York, Albany, near New York area, Delancey. He's owned Citroëns since 1977. And he's been a Citroën mechanic since '77. He originally worked at Carmichael Citroën in Albany, New York. He has a car on the car corral that's for sale. But I think the most interesting thing I can tell you about Dave is that in addition to working on Citroëns, Dave is an ice racer. And not just any ice racer, but he ice races Citroëns. And he started out with what he called the Pumpkin, which was a Citroën DS that he cut in the middle and shortened into a two-door. And he raced that for 20 years? Yeah. About 20 years. That car now is in the Lane Motor Museum in Nashville, Tennessee, where it'll be kept for a long, long time for people to see the history of ice racing Citroën. He now drives an SM-powered modified racer that's pretty much all handmade, and he's very successful at it. So Dave, we're glad you could come. Congratulations. Les Woods is here somewhere, I think. Okay, Les isn't here, and Ronnie. Is Ronnie Keenhaus here? Okay, I think we're running out of cards. We have one last one. I'd like to introduce Paul and Rose Anderson.
Yeah.
They didn't know they were getting into this.
I was wondering about this.
Paul called me about a year ago and asked me what I knew about finding a Citroën for sale. Paul has since purchased one in Holland, and it's actually on the boat and on the way here to the United States as we speak. We were very happy that they joined us last night for dinner, and we're really glad you're here today. We'll look forward to seeing that car next year here at Citroëns in Carlisle. Be happy for you to tell us a little bit about what you have coming.
I have a 1969 DS 21 Palace Citromatic. And I only wanted 2 years, 68 or 69. I want to thank Dave for looking at the pictures, and buying a car overseas sight unseen is kind of risky, but a lot of people seem to know each other, and I think it's a good, nice car, and I'm looking forward to getting it.
Good.
Waiting for my first oil leak too.
All right, and by the way, they live, by coincidence, they live around the corner. And they live just a few miles from the Citroën dealership.
I remember the car sitting out back in the field.
Yes.
Where I worked 43 years ago.
So you'll no longer be able to say no one lives right in the area.
We're really happy to have you. I hope you had a great time here at the car in Saratoga.
Thank you.
Are you going to be in Saratoga with the car? I don't know if I'm ready to drive at 300 miles when I only have it a week, maybe. I don't know if I'm quite ready for that.
What? It's an adventure? I don't know.
I might need a chase car, you know?
I'll need a chase car.
Yeah, I need a chase car.
I've done that already.
Yeah.
I actually had a couple, not the Citroën and the Renault 2 years ago, who came up from Kentucky or Tennessee with an R18.
Yeah.
And they towed another R18 wagon, and they towed another one behind it. Just in case.
What, for parts?